Grassroots Connection, where we provide the information you need to make an informed decision. I'm reading your chats in the chat room. You guys are really busy out there, and do understand that you want to see more video instead of commercial during the break. And we are working on that ASAP. We're all over it, trying to keep this thing from crashing, but we will get that. By the end of the week, you'll have it. All right, now we're on who really owns BP and what are the real motivations for going into Iran. And we've answered a few questions. I have one of our servicemen online. We're going to pot him up and see what he thinks about it. Give me just 1 second, folks. And go ahead, Shelton. Are you still there? Hello, caller? Still there. Right. Well, let's try this again. I know we have another caller on the other line, so we're just going to move right on ahead. And caller number 2, are you there?
Yes, this is Virginia. I'm still here.
Hi, Virginia.
Hi. Well, I'm not surprised, Andre, to hear the information that you're putting out today.
I can hear your...
I'm trying to turn my radio down, yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
I've got it down.
All right.
Okay, when we first started protesting against the Iraqi war, that was the message that we were trying to get out to the American people, that this war was not about anything but oil. The West maintaining control of the oil deposits in the Middle East.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you remember, back under the Bush administration, when Brett Bursey was arrested at the airport.
Yes, I do.
And the sign that he was carrying, it said "Blood for Oil."
That's right.
And that was the sign that the Secret Service and the FBI and all those people objected to when we were out there at the airport. And they wanted to arrest, well, they did arrest Brett. I told them I couldn't be arrested. But anyway, but...
I'm glad that worked for you. It never worked for me.
It never worked for you.
They always say, yes, we can, and yes, we will.
I think I don't know why it worked for me, but it did work. But they arrested Brett. But that was that Brett was holding the sign, and they were adamantly opposed to that sign because the sign was telling the truth.
The truth.
That
exactly.
This war was about oil. This had nothing to do with security. This had nothing to do with terrorism. It was about oil. So I'm not surprised that we're now beating the drums against Iran.
Oh, absolutely. They're going at it full time on talk radio, and they're using the threat of a nuclear holocaust on Israel to push us again into this madness.
I know, and I hope we, the American people, aren't dumb enough to fall for this the second time, because we've lost all of these lives in Iraq. We've lost all of these lives in Iraq. And for what? For naught, for nothing. We're on the verge of pulling out, and nothing in Iraq has changed. Nothing, except that Saddam Hussein isn't there anymore. But as soon as we pull out, it's going to go back to exactly what it was before, and I think it's going to be even worse because he had an iron fist, and he had the people sort of afraid of him. And I think it's just going to go right back to the mayhem and the fighting and everything that it was before. And now that we've gone in there and we've lost all of those American lives for oil, and the Western world has had the opportunity to divvy up the oil that's in Iraq, now we're trying to start the war in Iran and do the same thing.
You're exactly right. I just wanted to make one point.
Yeah.
There is something that's changed in Iraq. Yeah, other than Saddam Hussein not being in charge. And that is the fact that under Saddam Hussein, he actually bartered with the Russians.
Yes.
He bartered with the French.
Yes.
And those contracts for that oil was not going to Britain, was not going to the U.S.
The Americans, that's right.
That's right. And that's what they changed.
Yes, and believe it or not, the reason we're in Afghanistan has to do with the same thing because of the pipeline.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know why we, the American people, don't wake up and see that we're being lied to, and the reason we're losing all of these lives of young men and women has nothing to do with terrorism, has nothing to do with what they're telling us about. We need to start working on alternative fuel. We need to start conserving and using less fuel, because I don't think the lives of all of these people is worth it for the oil.
I agree with you 100%, but I think the first place to start is to not allow the hype of an attack on Israel by Iran to be our modus operandi in invading that country, because that is a lie.
That's a lie.
They want the oil. It's very clear.
Just as everything else that they have told us in the last 10 years about stopping terrorism and the invasion of Iraq was also a lie. We need to wise up, and we need to tell our government we're not going to buy those lies anymore, and we're not going to go along with it.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%.
And just because I don't call in doesn't mean I'm not listening.
Yes, ma'am. I sure appreciate you, too, you know. And remember, we're on WWII, so no matter where you are, if you're near a computer, you can always get our show.
Oh, I can stream you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your content. I really appreciate you, because I think you nailed it right on the head. We have another caller, though. I'm going to go ahead and pot them up and see what they have to say about it today. And hello, caller. Are you there?
Hey, salutation. Man, you know what?
Yeah.
That is just so wonderful. Thank you, Miss Virginia.
Yes, that was wonderful, wasn't it?
I said, man, you know what? Because, I mean, you're a smart guy. Miss Virginia is a smart lady. And
yes, ma'am.
I like it when the brain trust, I call you all the brain trust gets on there. It's like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 heads are better than one and all that. And I wanted to know what was her feelings on the BP. And, you know, lo and behold, when I dropped off and everything, she came on. I was glad, because I hear her on all stations, you know, Don Frierson. I think a lot of the nationals, she's on there, too. Shelton. I can't keep up with Miss Virginia. But
no, she's a great activist. Now, let me ask you a specific question, because
sir.
You are a serviceman.
Yes.
You've served our country.
Yes, sir.
Now, keep in mind that when we go back in history, back to even World War II or even further, we see that BP and the British government are, in essence, the same thing.
Yeah.
And they want control of the Iranian oil, which they used to have. Mm-hmm. They lost the rights in 1972 to Iraqi oil, and then they invaded under a ruse of weapons of mass destruction. As an American citizen, I don't want to put your life in jeopardy for oil. How do you feel about it?
It's the same way. Let me throw in something. Remember the Suez Canal?
Yes.
I think the Suez had something with the Britons in there. Even though I'm in the military, I need education like everybody else, man. Because when I was serving in Germany, I really didn't know all the history behind the Brandenburg Gate and Checkpoint Charlie and all that.
Yeah.
We're serving it. And I just want to let everybody know that just because you're in the military doesn't mean you know it all, because you know very little and all that. But, no, how do I feel about it? I feel bad. I mean, granted, when September 11th came and all that, you know, I almost had a brown spot, you know, and you know where. And I was going to call my dad and said, hey, Dad, this is like my Vietnam War and everything like that. But I was scared, you know what, and all that.
I understand.
How I feel about going to war again? If I needed to go and my country called on me, I would gladly go. But my druthers and my personal, and I don't think I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one that's sort of like laying my soul bare to let people know. As a serviceman, you know, I don't have a death wish. I don't want to go out there and get killed by the enemy and all that. I was trained to fight the enemy and all. But the last thing in the back of your mind is that you're going to go out there one day and not come back. No, I'd rather not go fight Iran. I mean, I would like to see them do it diplomatically. I mean, but just because I say that, you know, I don't know. The president, you know, he's got the CIA and the Secret Service, and he's got all that intel that I have no inside track on and everything. You probably know it quicker than I would, Andre, and all that. But no, and basically, I don't want to see what happened in Iraq, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying, because people are saying, well, Sheldon, what about all the people that lost their lives? You know what? I felt bad. September 11th, I saw such a pouring out of patriotism.
Yes, me too.
I saw people flying 5 and 6 flags in the back of their truck, and people would bring us all kind of snacks. You know, thank you. We appreciate it. But conversely, on the other hand, we thank you for your service too, because after I got out of my uniform and after I went down the street to find something to eat and everything, I had to go to somebody else that was serving their country. You know, in a department store, and as a clerk, as a manager, whatever like that. You know, it doesn't, just because you're in the military doesn't give you carte blanche to say, well, I'm the big bad person on the block serving my country. Everybody is not going to serve their country in the Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard uniform and all that and everything. I'm not serving my country in that uniform. I am now a nonchalant retail person. Like, I just want to just close it. They're like, oh, that's where he is. Let's go get that guy. But I couldn't always be a warmonger all the time, and I didn't want to.
I understand.
I mean, you know, when I was in Kuwait and I was looking across that desert, I was like, man, God, what if somebody fired a rocket on me? Where am I going to go? Nowhere. Total blackness. Or what if somebody's got a sight trained on me and everything like that? And mind you, I'm not a coward. I'm not scared, but I don't have a death wish either. And like I say, diplomatically, I'd like to see the president do in Iran. Now, he's my president. I'm going to respect him, and I'm going to follow him all the way. I'm not going to harass him, and I'm not going to bring him down. Like I see all kind of, and I won't call out too many Republicans and conservatives and everything like that, but we need to support him and all that. So I prefer to do the diplomatic thing, and I've been too long-winded, so I'm hanging up the phone.
Oh, man, we always appreciate you.
I enjoy your show, man. Hey, give out your email, too, because I want to write down your email address.
I'll give it to you real quick.
Yes, sir.
GRC at WWIC.com.
GRC. Okay, say GRC
at WWIC.com. You got it, sir.
You're the greatest scholar and a gentleman, man.
Man, thank you for your service. I really appreciate you. And thank you for coming on and speaking your mind. I really appreciate that as well. We have some more callers, and we're moving right to the phones. And hello, caller. Are you there?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, big guy?
I got a few disagreements, big guy.
Okay, we'll disagree ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't think any of those wars are about oil because Iraq and Iran were, just talk about Iraq, they were selling us all oil. Saddam Hussein was just begging to sell oil.
Oh, yeah, he was selling it to the French and to the Russians.
So on the international market, anybody wanted it. And it was all about Israel. They said, that lady asked them, what did we get out of it? Well, Israel got to crushing somebody that they hated and wanted, they look at all Iraq's.
Well, let's go back to 1941 with the Russian and British invasion of Iran.
Yeah.
Now, there's no Jews there, and really the British formed Iran or Iraq out of several provinces. They formed Iraq. Iran was there, but they had already gone in and got some oil contracts. They discovered the field, but yet they were threatened by the Shah.
Yeah, well, I agree. During the World War II, oil was a big commodity, and they tried to keep...
And all I'm saying is that was the case then, and I see it as the case right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about now, and I don't think that... I think the only reason for the chaos and havoc and insecurity that these countries are being caused by the invasion...
Yes.
...is solely to do with Israel. It's not about oil.
Well, I would agree with you if I didn't see that BP has a controlling interest in Iraqi oil right now. Now, they split it between the Iraqi people, the Chinese, and BP. And guess who ended up on top? It wasn't the Iraqi people, it was BP.
Well, if you can kill two birds with one stone, wouldn't you do it?
Well,
you can crush Israel's enemies, and you can steal all their oil, too. Well, golly. Israel is a big factor in American foreign policy, and even in British, or not call it, English foreign policy.
Well, yeah, because they formed Israel, actually. We're headed into a break, caller. Can I hold you over?